Shall we start? So today we are going to discuss about how to read or how to prepare for current affairs as well as science and technology. So how many of you know what is there in the syllabus? With respect to prelims and mains, you have clear-cut idea? Does everyone in the class have an idea? What is there in the prelims, what is the pattern and what is the syllabus of mains? Or completely blank? Answer anything, no? Based on that I can plan. How many of you have some idea? So in 3 stages of exam you have prelims, mains and interview, right? In the prelims you have objective based exam in 2 papers. So one is in general studies and another one you have as CSAT, right? Then in mains you have 2 not scoring papers, that is what you call compulsory papers you have, and 4 general studies papers, 1 essay paper and along with 2 optionals for 1750 marks. Then followed by interview. Yes, based on marks of mains and interview you will be selected for the particular CADO. This is what the pattern is, okay, briefly. But if you see, today we are going to discuss about science and technology and how to prepare current affairs. So shall we start with the science and technology or current affairs? Science and technology, okay. So science and technology means what is the difference between science and technology? How many of you are from science background? Okay. So what is the difference between science and technology? Technology means? Human made? Shortcut. Okay. And human, what did you say?
Use and study of the sciences, technology.
Very good. Then, any other definition? There's nothing wrong. I'm not going to punish you. Be free and try to answer. When you answer in the class, then you have that idea of developing the thoughts and all, which will help you in the examination. Otherwise, if you simply sit idle, if you don't make your brain work, in 2 hours of time, when you have 100 questions before you, how that brain will be adjusting to that situation, how it will try to answer the questions. So you should be in a position always to work your brain. You should not make it sleep in the class, especially. Yes? Any other definitions? Application of knowledge. Then what is science? Simply, science is a theoretical concept. Theoretical means whatever the knowledge you say, in different sciences we call as science. The practical aspect of science we call as technology. So whatever we study in science, if you put that into application or if you make use of it, then we call it as technology. Okay. So if you see in your syllabus, in prelims, they have mentioned general science and its applications. That is only word they have mentioned with respect to science and technology. But whereas in mains, you have 4 general studies papers, no? Out of 4, you have GS paper 3, which has so many subjects in it. One of the subject in GS paper 3 is science and technology. So before any subject you start, okay, you start with any subject, you need to understand how much is a weightage. See, UPSC is an exam where everything under the sky can be asked. But how to achieve this or how to crack this exam is the key. How you have to achieve this is when you know the right strategy and when you're putting smart preparation into action, then you can easily achieve this examination. How I mean is, when you say, for example, in GS paper 1 we have different subjects, GS 2 also, 3 also we have different subjects. But you cannot allocate the same time and effort for world history like geography. Because if you see the number of questions being asked from same general studies paper 1 in world history and geography, world history 1 or none, 0 or 1 question they're asking, very rare. But on the other hand, if you see in geography, around 100, 125 marks are being asked from 250 marks. That means, which one you have to prioritize first? Geography. So whenever in UPSC preparation, do remember, whenever you start preparation, always you have to think about the cost to benefit ratio. That means if you are investing 1 hour of time in anything, I am not confining myself to science and technology or current affairs. Whichever the subject you read, there you should get the return in the same way. That means you should not start with world history like subject where you may get a question or you may not also. Okay. So you have to start according to the weightage being asked by the UPSC. Okay. So in that way, if you strategize, if you plan yourself, then definitely you will succeed. Those who are clearing the very first attempt, they're having this strategy in their mind. They very well know what UPSC is expecting from you. So they are preparing accordingly to the UPSC needs and demands. So that is what you have to do right from the beginning. So when I come to science and technology, in prelims, if you see every year, 15 to 20 questions are coming. 15 to 20, that means how much? Into 2 marks you have for one question. That means around 30 to 40 marks. How much is the cutoff last year in prelims? 75 is the cutoff. That means if you can clear all the questions of science and technology, and more if you get 30 marks or something, you can easily, that means you need not worry about all the subjects. You need not be masters in any subject also. See, always do keep another thing in mind is, UPSC is expecting, if you see the name of the examination or the name of the papers also, in general prelims paper 1 we have as general studies. They mentioned it as general studies. They didn't ask you as a specialized study or something. Okay, general means what? If some topic is given, what is the perspective that a common man needs to know? That is what being expected from you people also. General point of view. They're not asking, for example, when I teach science and technology, they don't expect you to be scientists of history, or they don't expect you to be doctorates or having PhD holders and all. UPS is not expecting. UPS is expecting that you should have some general view of everything. Because later after your selection, you may ask why the science and technology, why I have to know about the missiles or whatever the things are there, space technology, defense technology, why I need to know means, after getting selected as an administrative officer, you don't know in the future, you may be posted as defense secretary, you don't know whether you will be posted as space secretary or any other post. So in the beginning itself, the testing whether you are having the basic idea or not. This is what being tested by UPSC. That is why all these things are mentioned in the syllabus. UPSC doesn't do it anything random. UPSC mentioned means there is something that they are expecting from you. And another most important thing you have to keep in mind is, see, always a preparation should be like this. That means width should be there. You have to cover many things, but don't go deep into one thing. That is what I am saying. Okay, know something about everything, but not everything about only some things. That is what you have to keep in mind, because in the vast syllabus, normally what people do is they'll try to be perfection or perfectionist. Okay, so because of this approach, what they'll do is they'll invest a lot of time in one particular thing only. They don't have the time to cover other things. Then what happens? Immediately marks will be lost. Okay, so because see, when you are trying to remember or when you are covering different things, what is the most important thing is you have to remember a lot. No, you don't have only science and technology. You have polity, history, economy, science and technology, current affairs, environment, many things are there. So how you can accommodate all these things in your human brain, which is a small thing? Yes or no? So that means when you're repeatedly revising these things, you will be remembering easily. So when revision will be useful is when you have limited resources. That means you have to keep your resources very limited. Okay, for one book, for example, if I say polity, there is only one book you have to refer. Other than that, you need not refer. For example, if your friend is referring something or if your roommate is saying something, you should not go through them. Whatever you feel which is correct and important, only those books you have to stick. This applies to all the subjects. When you diversify sources, what you will do? You will read one book 10 times or 10 books one time. Which is better for you? One book 10 times. Then you will have something which is there in the content registered in your brain. So you, at least when you see the options, because in prelims you need not write something, no. Seeing the options, you have to judge which is correct and which is wrong. Yes or no? So these things happen only when you understand. Okay. And when you have clarity. Instead of confusion, you need to have clarity. When you will have confusion, when you read 10 books one time each. At that time, you don't have anything registered in your brain. So then you will have lot of confusion. So every option seems to be very close at that point of time. You cannot eliminate. Or if you eliminate also, you will may go wrong in the negative marking and all. So these things will generally happen. So that is why, as you are all freshers, although this is not only limited to science and technology, why I want to give is, freshers have this tendency of covering many things. They wanted to achieve very good marks in the very first attempt. So they have many pressures in their mind. So don't keep these pressures in the mind, but what you have to do is you have to focus in a way which will give you better results. You have to strategize in that way. Okay. So when coming to science and technology, although in 30-40 marks in prelims you have, and mains also, if you see, hardly 4-5 questions will be coming in GS paper 3 because you have different subjects. Okay, that means around 50 to 60 marks will be coming from science and technology in mains. But you may think again, 50, 60 marks out of 1750 is not a big thing. But for matter of selection, if you see, even a single mark also counts. With a single mark, you may lose IAS and you may have to write again exam for IAS. Or within the same 1 mark also, you may be in the list or out of the list also. So you should not neglect any particular area. Although it is 10 markers or 20 markers, you cannot leave any question also. So what you have to do is you have to prioritize. You have to expect what is UPSC expecting from you. When you know the needs and demands of UPSC, you can better strategize yourself. Okay. So with this, I just want to start with science and technology. I'll show you the syllabus of science and technology before. See, this is a syllabus mentioned, general science, okay. So what type of aspects they'll cover in prelims, I'll explain in detail, but you just have to understand what is the syllabus mentioned. Hardly 15 to 20 questions will be coming from science and technology or science part. Mains, if you see in GS paper 3, these are many subjects which we have. Economy we have, environment we have, internal security we have, disaster management, along with we have science and technology also. In this particular section, we are getting around 30 to 50 marks. So one time you will be getting 50 marks and another time you will be getting 10 markers or 15 markers. So it may decrease to 30 marks also. There is no result pattern. UPSC doesn't follow any result pattern. It depends on the mood of the examiner, how many questions can be allocated. Okay. So this is what the syllabus you have. Okay. Then this is the detailed syllabus. Under that broader section of science and technology, these are the things which are mentioned by UPSC itself under the science and technology. So what is the first thing is science and technology. Okay. Science along with technology. So what you have to understand from this section, I have given some examples, later on I will show you. Okay. But next example, if you, next particular topic, if you see recent developments and their applications and their effects in everyday life. For example, recently if you have seen, Chandrayaan 3 mission was launched by ISRO. So what is the benefit we are getting from Chandrayaan 3? Okay, leave Chandrayaan 3. We have an indigenous navigation system called NAVIC of our own. Okay, so I think many of you may know or may not know also. See, normally when you want to go anywhere, you will be using GPS, no? GPS means Global Positioning System, which is a satellite system of US. Okay, this is a global navigation system which is used by other countries, every country almost. Okay, then what we have, because we are depending on foreign technology, what we have done is we have developed our own indigenous technology with the name NAVIC. Okay, so although it is not global, see, this is global means entire world will be under its range, but here NAVIC is confined within 1500 kilometers right from Indian border only. That means within India and its border, only 1500 kilometers of area it can cover. That means navigation capacity it has. So this was developed by ISRO. A group of or constellation of 7 satellites were working to give navigation details. Then how this is applying to your daily lives? Finding routes or anything. Okay, so in the recent times, if you have seen, even Center has issued a guideline that even Apple iPhones which are manufactured outside India, they also have to use this NAVIC system. Okay, in that way means, although this is developed by ISRO, this is having an impact on our daily lives, right? So we are using this technology in one way or another. For example, in mobile communication technology, we are using 5G present. Okay, in the future we may shift to 6G, like the 7G or something. That means someone is doing this technological part, but we are having the practical applications of this used in our daily lives, right? We are having Wi-Fi. All these are technological parts only, no? Or for example, in medical domain also. For example, if we have previously what we used to have, we used to take injections and everything for vaccination and all. But now if you see, nasal drops are coming. Testing also improved. So some form of technology is being used, no, in diagnosis or treatment or something. So anything which is being invented, so they are giving some patents, no? Why they are in giving patents again? For those inventions which are found out. What is the need of patent? Not only privacy, that is one of the thing, but to incentivize inventions, because if you don't incentivize inventions, it will not create a level playing field and no one will feel it encouraging, because see, intellectual property right we call patent. Why? Because they're putting all their intellectual abilities, okay, with their mind they're trying to find out something which is useful not only for them but all the human beings, right? But in case if you're not giving some special protection in the form of patent, what happens? Everyone will use it. Okay, so that person who is the inventor, he'll feel when I'm putting all my effort, all my life and energy in the lab and I'm developing these things, everyone is getting money out of it. Why should I make it? Why should I lose my life? So it will be like a de-incentivizing thing, no? Then what happens if you give patent? During the patent period, only he enjoys all the money which is being generated from the patent, not any person. After the patent expires, then only it will enter into the market and anyone also can produce the same product. This is what happens in a patent, okay? That means during that 5-year period or 20-year period which the patent have, at the time all the money which is being generated in the pharmaceutical things or any things, only the person who have invented the technology will enjoy. That means in that way it becomes an incentive for him also. As I'm enjoying the money, I want to put all my effort and I can I can develop new things or I can invent some new things in this way. That means always technology is not limited to the person who has invented. So for example, when you see the light, who will be coming to our mind? Thomas Alva Edison. So he has invented this, but he is no more, no. We are all using his same technology or whatever the things he has put. So that means technology always have some practical applications. Someone is inventing, but we are using it. So that means UPSC, why they're expecting this is because you need to know what is going on around you. For example, you are in some deep trouble. For example, I'm saying what is the relevance of science and technology. In Indian Administrative Service, if you are selected as an IAS officer, okay, think for example, and there is a cyclone alert in your district. Then what you will do? You cannot go to the temple or masjid or church and you cannot play, don't damage my particular district or don't cause any human loss or property loss, like that. You cannot keep anything in mind. No, what you have to do? You have to use better technology and you have to minimize the loss to the property or the humans, whatever it happens. That means again you have to know what is the latest technology. How you will know the latest technology? Only once you know the basics of this. You are not being asked to develop some new technology, but what is the technology there in the present times? You need to have a basic understanding in how to make use of it. That is what UPSC is expecting. For example, if you are selected as an IPS officer, what you have to do? You have to catch the criminals. At that time, you will be using GPS technology or you will be using forensic technology. Forensic is also science, no? So you will be using different things, and how you will understand when you know the technology, then only you will understand how you can make it, how you can solve this particular case. In the same way, if you belong to Indian Forest Service, how you can use it? For example, if there is a forest fire happening in the forest, then what you will do? When you want to go manually or when you wanted to carry water tankers manually, will the fire wait till then? Some type of technology you have to use and you have to immediately stop, right? So for the immediate results, you have to rely on the latest technology. Whatever the technology, whatever the post you get, technology has become part of our lives. So you need to know the technology, what is there for which particular purpose and what is its application, what are the benefits we are getting from the technology. Okay, so that is why UPSC has given this part of your syllabus in mains. Okay, that means I'm again saying, although the terms and the broader aspects of science and technology appears to be very confusing or it may be very strange and new to you, but still how the UPSC is expecting questions, if you understand, it is very easy. You need not be specialized person in science. The persons who are non-science background also, they can also answer easily. But one thing you have to know is, you have to understand what UPSC is expecting from you first. Okay, then you can easily solve the questions. Then, achievements of Indians in science and technology. For example, we have different scientists, no? Right from C.V. Raman, physics, chemists, biologists, so many persons are there, okay? So all these persons, they have contributed in developing science and technology in India, because we should not forget our roots or origins, okay? So we should understand what is the role of Indians in, especially, not only these, but in the ancient times also we have Aryabhatta and different Bhaskaracharya and all these persons, no? So how they have contributed to these things, how they have invented some things, all these things also you have to know. But again, from this particular section, again in the mains, you may get a question or you may not get. I'm saying because once if you see the previous year questions, you will understand what are the focus areas, where the questions are being asked. If you see, this aspect is focused more. What is the recent technology news? For example, in the recent times, Chandrayaan 3 was launched. In 2023 itself, mains of the Chandrayaan 3, when it was launched, in the month of August or July, yes or no? So immediately in September we had mains, no? For that year, they have asked a question on Chandrayaan 3. That means UPS is always helping us whatever the things which are so much in news or which are having lot of national importance, those things only they're asking. They're not asking anything random. Okay, for example, this year the government is focusing on eradication of cancers, different types of cancers. We have developed our own technology to cure cancer with a minimal cost, or we are trying to give vaccination for new types of cancers and all. So they can ask you what is the technology, or sometimes you will be seeing in the newspapers, we'll be listening about genetically modified crops, no? GM crops and all. So there will be always a debate between environmentalists and scientists saying that GM crops will have pesticide resistance and high yield. That is not like you cannot discount it, but at the same time it may have the negative impact on the health as well as environment also. That is why Government of India is not going ahead with GM crops in food especially. So in this context, I can ask you, what is the technology behind GM crops or genetically modified crops? Are they good for the community or are they bad? See, they don't go into the technological aspects. You need to understand very basic thing, how this technology will function and how it is useful to the humans. That is only being asked. So as an administrator or any service, you need to know the application of technology. They're not expecting that you only have to develop a new technology. That is what you have to know. Okay. Then indigenization of technology and developing new technology. Indigenization means what? Recently, for example, in cancer eradication, we have a new technology called CAR T cell therapy, we call it. Okay. So don't stress yourself as of now. This is one technology where T cells are present in the white blood cells of ours only. So they will be separating T cells from our blood only. They will be modifying these T cells so that they have resistance against fighting against cancer cells. Okay. In that way, this technology is working. So this happened for the first time. That means in India, previously we have this technology in other countries, but for the first time we have developed our own technology. That is what we call indigenization. Means when we develop any technology on our own, as I told you, previously we used to use GPS, but now we have our own navigation system. That is indigenization. Previously we used to depend on foreign countries' satellites for launching heavier satellites into space, but now we have GSLV and all these things for us only. That means we are developing our own things now. Okay. So in this way, whatever the indigenized technologies or those things can be asked here. This is also an important area where you can focus. This is the very least important area you can see. Then general awareness in the fields of, see here they have mentioned information technology, information and communication technology, space, computers, robotics, nanotechnology and biotechnology. In this point of view, you should know. For example, in these fields, as they have given these specified fields, in IT, for example, okay, in the recent times, information technology means in case if government is planning or in the world, if there is an upgradation in the mobile generation technology, for example, 6G, then you should know what is 6G, what is the difference between 6G and 5G. If something new is there in 6G, then only will shift to 6G, no? Otherwise, we'll be continuing with 5G only, no? What is the difference between 5G and 6G? How it is helping us? This is what you have to know. That's it. You need not know what is the spectrum, range, band and everything. Okay? How it is useful for us. IT. One example. Then in space. Space means, you know, ISRO will be launching different things. Okay, so we'll be having different communication satellites, we'll be having Earth observation satellites, we'll be having navigation satellites, all these things. Okay, when one particular launch is done by ISRO, you'll understand what is the meaning of that launch, why ISRO has launched that. Okay, so what are objectives of that particular launch? For example, Chandrayaan 3. Why Chandrayaan 3 was launched? What is the objective of Chandrayaan 3? Southern pole of the moon. Why? Why southern pole? Southern pole of the moon always will be opposite to the earth. Okay, so we'll always face one side of the moon only because it is also in the same sync with the earth's rotation. So we'll always see one time only. But if you understand what is there on the southern pole, so what is happening, what type of materials we have, we can understand, because according to some theories, moon is also formed from the remnants of the earth only. Some body has crashed the earth. At the time that parts and particles what got blasted from the earth, those only again consolidated into moon. This is what theories we have, because we didn't have any foolproof mechanism here. Okay, so we are believing that in case if we can understand what has constituted earth, because if you know how earth is formed means we don't know any answer as of now. How the universe formed, we don't know any answers. We are still in the process of knowing the answers to these questions. So we are trying in many ways. Okay, gravitational waves or space missions or anything, we are trying to explore these things and we are trying to find out answers for these things. Or for example, if you see Chandrayaan 4, in what we wanted to do in Chandrayaan 4? We are planning Chandrayaan 4 also. What we wanted to do in Chandrayaan 4? Very good. So we are trying, this time we have landed our rover and we are seeing what is there in the on the moon on surface and all, whether there is any crater, whether there is any volcano, whether there is any source of water. If you have remembered, Chandrayaan 1 mission, which was launched in 2008 by ISRO, that was the first mission in the world to recognize water on the moon and its surface. Okay, that means India has given lot of information to the entire world, right? Yes or no? So same thing. In case if Chandrayaan 4, it brings any information about the rock or the whatever the material that is there on the lunar surface, then it definitely helps us in understanding what constitutes the moon and how it was formed and all. So with that we can understand what is the correlation that Earth has and what has constituted Earth and what made the differences between Earth and moon. In this way we can understand. That means we are enhancing our technology or we are enhancing our knowledge also in this particular thing by carrying these space missions. So you should know what are the latest missions by ISRO and what are its objectives. These are the things which you have to understand. Then in computers means what you have to understand? Supercomputers, artificial intelligence, everything. Okay, so for example, in the recent times, if you have seen, computers are used for everything. No, if there is any latest technology. In the previous times we used to go offline and we have to book tickets and everything for those reasons, but now we are using everything through computers or technology only. No, so we are having everything in our hands only in the form of mobile or in the form of computers. That means whatever the latest technology is there in the computers, how that is helping in bettering our daily lives, that is also being asked here. Okay, the latest computer technology and all. Then robotics, robotics. So every day we are saying different things. Previously, to clean a sewerage, sewerage, okay, so drainage and all, we used to have some persons, but now what is mandated? There is Manual Scavenging Prohibition Act, because no one should do that particular thing, and what government or Supreme Court has instructed that it should be done by machines. In some country, in some state like Kerala, robots are cleaning this sewerage. That means not only in that particular purpose, in sometimes you are seeing when you pass through, when you are going under that metro pillars and all, you will be seeing Yashoda advertisements also where robotic surgeries are performed. So that is what you have to see. When you are going also, you should not leave anything. When you observe the things, that definitely will help anyway in the examination. So common sense, many questions will be coming based on common sense. Rather than knowledge, if you have minimum common sense, you can definitely answer 5-6 questions every year. Because UPS is not testing the experts. They're not asking you to be masters in one particular domain. They're asking you to have certain common sense which can solve the problems before you. Okay. So robotic surgeries we have in healthcare, we have in driving, we have. Sometimes we are having driverless trains and all. No? Okay. This is also robotics application. Then we have nanotechnology. Nanotechnology means what? When you use any particular technology or when you develop anything with particles of nano size. Nano size means 10 power minus 9. Yes or no? So that means nanoparticles or nanotechnology also has applications in health. Silver things you have. Normally, most of the people will be wearing shoes, no? In shoes, if you have seen, there will be bottom. Okay, in that bottom you will be having nanoparticles which are made of silver and other metals, which will absorb the bacteria and all the things so that you don't have any fungal infections. But we don't know that what is there inside our shoe and all. So this is a practical application of nanotechnology which many brands are using, and in health we have, in agriculture we have, in different industry and developing different things also we have this. Okay, so in this context you should understand what is application of nanotechnology in agriculture. If they ask how we are using it, you should know that's it. Okay, then biotechnology. Biotechnology means when you edit living organisms, it is biotechnology. It can be crops or it can be organisms like us. For example, if you see in the recent times, China, what it has done? It has done editing of the embryos. Designer babies we call. Designer babies means, for example, they're editing the embryo. See, for example, if you have any gene, if the mother or father of the baby, if they have any gene which is causing a particular inheritable disease, Okay, you have some inheritable diseases, no? For example, if you identify before the birth of the child itself that the mother or father is having any defective gene, then what this technology can help is you can cut down the defective gene and you can replace only that gene with healthy gene. There is nothing wrong. In that way, you are trying to prevent the diseases from occurring to the person. But what happens? Again, when you are removing the defective gene, there is also a possibility that you can add your own genes. No? For example, if you want a baby of good color, this much height and everything. So one gene will be mainly responsible for the color or height or something. No, that means you can cut down the normal gene and you can additionally add this particular gene. No, in that way you are creating your designer babies. Yes or no? That means, are you following the law of ethics or law of nature or not? The present form what we have is not designed by ourselves. No, whatever God has gifted us, we are following the same thing. But China has developed this particular technology using the biotechnology. They have developed designer babies. So what happens with this? There are so many ethical concerns. If these things happen, then in the future, now they have limited to the designer babies and all. In the future, they may create a gene which is not causing any death also to the person. Then what happens? If life and death goes on hand, then only this existence will happen. Otherwise, if all the persons are taking birth, but if no one is dying, then where you can accommodate all these persons? So this is also a matter of ethical concern. In this way, biotechnology, see, technology is always a double-edged sword. Have the way you are using. If you are using for the benefit, for example, if you have your mobile phone, if you are searching anything informative which is useful for your preparation, definitely you have good benefit from it. But at the same time, if you open Instagrams or if you use anything, other social media platforms, and if you are wasting time, that is becoming a negative thing for you, right? So it depends always on the way how we are using. Biotechnology also, with that we are able to cure many diseases. In agriculture, we are able to raise the yield of the crop. We are having pesticide resistant crops and all. But at the same time, it has a negative impact on the human health, environment and different things. Okay, so in anything when you are studying, you should understand, whenever you study any technology, not only any technology, in any subject also, you have to understand what are the positives, negatives. Okay, both has to be understood by any particular person who wants to aspire to become a civil servant, because normally UPSC doesn't want a person who is taking only one stand. If you take only positives, ignoring all the negatives, then how you can take a better decision in the future when you're given a particular problem? You have to look into the two sides of the problem, no? When someone comes to you, if you're an IPS officer, if I says, this person has hurt me, listening to me, you cannot take a complaint. You have to verify it or not. You have to take the other person's stand and you have to cross verify, then only you have to take any action, yes or no? That means always do keep things in mind. Till your interview and final selection, you always have to think in two perspectives. That means this side and that side. When you think in two sides, then only your answer will be very proper. If you write only positives, although they'll ask positives, in spite of all these positives, this issue has these negatives also. You have to list down 1 or 2 or 3. Otherwise, only if you write positives ignoring negatives, or if you focus only on negatives saying that this will not change at all in India, these type of things, corruption is inevitable, these type of things you cannot quote, because always you have to bring some change. When you are sure of the change, change will come. But if you are itself not believing that something positively, then how the positive results will be expected when giving charge to you as an administrator? Yes or no? So these are the things which you have to keep in mind. Always think in any technology, what are the positives and negatives. Okay? In science and technology also you have to take it. Then issues relating to intellectual property rights. What are intellectual property rights? I told you many. Intellectual property means which are the things coming from intellect of the human. Okay? Intellect means it can be patent, it can be copyright, it can be trademark, it can be industrial design, it can be geographical indication tag, GI tags we have, no? It can be that particular thing, it can be semiconductor layout. See, for example, your mobile phones are there. But every mobile phone is delivering the same message, it is making the same call. But why you have the differences between these brands and all? Because the layout and design will be unique to that particular company. In that way, they have patented their design. Okay, so in that way we have different things under intellectual property rights, which is mainly responsible for new inventions in science and technology. So in case if you have some issues for example, I'll give you an example of Indian pharmaceuticals. Okay, you know pharmaceuticals are very much important, right? Yes or no? But what happens is For example, if a pharmaceutical company has manufactured a drug for cancer, okay, then what happens? It will be given patent, right? Initially, see, normally when you go to the hospital, if any particular medicine is prescribed to you and if it is costing more than 500 or 600, normally these will be used in treatment of diseases and all. At that time, that means that is having patent if it is above 500. If it is below 500 means normally it is under public domain. If it is above 500 means still that particular inventor or the particular company is having patent, means at that time till the expiry of the patent only that particular company only can use or they only can sell that in the market. No other company can manufacture the same drug. Only after the patent expires, what the government will do is, it will release the formula. When the patent inventor has to get the patent, he has to give the formula which he has used to develop the patent to the government, saying that using this formula, I have developed this. So, when he was given a patent, till the expiry of patent, that will be kept with the government only. Once the patent expires, then the formula will be released by the government so that same formula can be used by other companies and they can also manufacture or they can generate the same other things, okay. So, but what happens is till the patent period only money, whatever the market, when you're buying the medicine, all the money will be going to the same person who have patented that particular thing, okay. This is one thing you have to know. Then what happens, for example, in COVID-19 times, what happened? We have different new vaccines developed, no? But at that time, if you can wait for patent, what happens? No other can develop, no? Yes or no? Is that possible for the government to wait and give patents at that point of time? There will be some exceptions, no? Means we have an exception called compulsory licensing. Compulsory licensing is a term. Just don't confuse here. I'm just giving the basics and insights. Compulsory licensing means in case of very extreme situations or very nationally important situations like COVID-19 and all, sometimes government can even waive patent rights, okay. So, for example, if a vaccine was developed by any particular company, at that time government may not give patent also because it is very much important to protect the lives of the people, no. They cannot wait for the patent time and all. So, at that time they have some exceptions given. But what pharmaceutical companies, if they repeatedly use, government if repeatedly using this compulsory licensing, what will happen? Manufacturer companies will not produce any vaccines. All them producing, I'm not being given a patent. Yes or no? So that is why they have to use only very sparingly or very rarely. So sometimes of issues will happen, or sometimes we have issues in patents, sometimes it will have these things and all. You will understand and you have to study this as part of main syllabus, okay. So broadly I'm explaining here. So these are the things, and here most of the times you will be getting questions either from this and these three aspects. Intellectual property rights also very less times you will be asked questions, okay. But everything in the syllabus you have to prepare. Then under information technology, you have these type of things which you have to know. Generally for your understanding, I am giving a broader idea. Under information and communication technology, you need to know the latest 5G, 6G, space, internet, LAN, WAN, MAN, this technology, Wi-Fi technology. Recently, if you have seen, instead of Wi-Fi, we are using Li-Fi. What happens? In Wi-Fi technology, we will be using radio waves to transmit. Yes or no? But now in Li-Fi technology, we are able to use that light to transmit the network. Okay, so it has its own advantages and disadvantages. So you have to know both advantages and disadvantages. And if these advantages becomes more for the Li-Fi, then only we'll shift from Wi-Fi to Li-Fi. No, so these type of things you need to know. Then supercomputers. Supercomputer means which have high processing capacity, speed and all. So how they are useful? Because in the recent times we are running with time, no? Speed and everything, accuracy, speed, computational abilities, these are all very important. Okay, so that is why you need to know what are the latest supercomputers being developed by India, what is the application part of those technologies, what is the benefit we are getting from these technologies, you should understand. Clear? This is broader thing I am just giving. In space technology, what are the things you need to know? First, you need to know what is the difference between a missile, okay, and a rocket. These are the basic things. Okay, so when you understand technologies, when you know your basics well, okay, in whatever the thing you study, you have to know basics clear. Then after knowing the basics, you have to apply those basics in the application part. So these are the things which you have to know before only, like missile and rocket. Then you should understand what is the difference between satellite and a launch vehicle. In space I'm giving you. So can anyone answer these two? What is the difference between missile, rocket and satellite and launch vehicle? What is a missile? Okay. Okay, leave missile. Answer the basic thing. What is the difference between rocket and a jet? What is the difference between rocket and a jet? Okay, fine. I'll give you an example. If a person, okay, if two persons are there and those two persons want to swim in a very deep water body like a sea or ocean, okay, one person is swimming on his own. He doesn't have any oxygen support and all. Another person has oxygen support, okay. So two persons. Among these two, who will have more reliability and more chances of exploring the things and coming back? Who have oxygen cylinder, yes or no? In the same way, rocket carries oxygen cylinder in itself because it will cross the Earth's atmosphere and it will enter into the space. But what happens in jet is, jet doesn't normally cross the Earth's atmosphere, because of which it doesn't have oxygen cylinder in itself. What it will do is, whenever it requires oxygen, it will be getting that oxygen from the atmosphere. You know, once we cross the atmosphere, there is no oxygen in the space. So jet will be using the atmospheric oxygen to fuel itself, but on the other hand, rocket will be having an oxidizer in the form of a fuel. This is a primary difference you need to know. Okay, then satellite and launch vehicle. So among these two, which can go outside the Earth's atmosphere? Rocket, no, because it has its own fuel. Anywhere it can go. According to the fuel capacity, it can explore. But jet, it is limited only to the Earth's atmosphere. That means you have to limit your operations. That is why we normally rely on the rockets compared to the jets. Okay. Then satellite and launch vehicle. Very good. Yes. See, very good. Recently, if you have seen, we have PSLV, GSLV. We'll be seeing these things in the news, no? GSLV Mk3. Okay. So this is the launch vehicle which has launched Chandrayaan-3. Chandrayaan-3 is a satellite. Satellite will do what we wanted from it. For example, Chandrayaan-3 has to land on the lunar surface. That is what the objective we have set for the mission. That will be carried by the satellite. But this satellite cannot go into the space on its own, no. This has to be put in that particular orbit by another vehicle which is there only to drop. For example, like a cab driver and you. Cab driver will be dropping you, but you have to know what you have to do. The same thing here. The Chandrayaan-3 is a satellite which has some specific objectives already set by the launch mission, or that means ISRO or any agency. But this will be carrying that particular satellite into the designated orbit. Where it has to leave, everything will be coded. So there it will leave this particular satellite and it will, in the stages it will be coming out. So some will be entering into the atmosphere and they will burn, or sometimes they will be rotating in the space as debris. So it will be again breaking into parts. Breaking into parts, it will place the satellite into orbit. Okay. So these basic things you need to know. Then you will also understand when you come to the launch vehicles. How many launch vehicles we have? Different launch vehicles. Initially we started with SLV, satellite launch vehicle. Okay. Then we have augmented satellite launch vehicle. These two, we don't have much enhanced capacities and all. Later on, we have developed in 1990s PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Then what happens with this PSLV is, it cannot carry heavy satellites and it cannot go beyond certain distance. So although it is having accuracy and everything, but it cannot carry huge weight and it cannot go beyond. So then we have started using GSLV for heavier satellites, and when you wanted to go outside Earth's atmosphere or even the lunar surface or Aditya L1 also, in these type of things we are using GSLV. Okay, that means according to our purpose we have developed our own. In the recent times, if you have seen, we are using SSLV, small satellite launch vehicles, because not every time you need big satellites, no, small satellites also we have to launch. For them we are using small satellite launch vehicle. In the recent times, again, to save our cost and fuel, what we are doing? Reusable satellite launch vehicles also we are using. Reusable means, for example, here GSLV Mk3 is there. This rocket is having that satellite, no? When it is crossing certain orbit, that rocket will be coming out in parts. Okay? Those parts, instead of breaking and burning out in the atmosphere, what we are doing is, we are trying to bring them again back to the Earth so that we can use for the future mission. In that way, reusable. Because all the time to develop a new satellite or to develop a new launch vehicle, you have to pay so much, no? So if you reuse it, at least some cost can be minimized, no? So in that way, as technology is progressing and we are progressing, we are having new technologies which we are developing, okay? These are the things which you need to know. And when you apply these parts in the present day, which is going on in the last 1.5 year or 2 years, then you will understand what is the recent things happening in the space technology, okay? So in ISRO, again, we will be having different satellites, Earth observation satellites, communication satellites, interspace missions we have like Chandrayaan 3, Aditya L1. Next, we are aiming for Mangalyaan mission, Shukrayaan mission also to study Venus and all. So in this way, you have to know what is the latest things along with some basic part. Then you have nanotechnology. I told you what is nanotechnology. So nanotechnology is application in health. In different cancer treatments also we are using nanotechnology. In agriculture, in manufacturing any particular thing. For example, if you have seen in the recent times, we are having 3D printed things and all. So in that level also we are using nanotechnology. So not only in these things, in daily lives also, in many parts we are using nanotechnology. So you should know what is the applications of nanotechnology, in what domains we have. In agriculture, with nanotechnology, what are the benefits we are getting, okay? In this way, you have to know. Then biotechnology, I already told you, GM crops and everything, okay? So your disease causing things, developing vaccines, all these are also part of biotechnology, okay? Then defense technology. This is also mentioned in your syllabus. Defense technology means, defense means, you know, ISRO is the space agency, DRDO is the defense related organization we have, right? So DRDO will be developing different missiles, yes or no? Agni missile we have, Prithvi missile, ballistic missiles and all. Why we need to have? Because it will act a deterrent to another country, okay? In the recent times, if you have seen, Agni 5 missile was tested by DRDO. Why? Because Agni 5 is intercontinental ballistic missile. Intercontinental means from one continent to another continent also you can target. Why we have developed the technology? You can ask, when so many people are there with poverty and hunger and different issues are there, why we need to spend all this much amount of money on space or in defense? Because if you don't develop, then what happened? It make India vulnerable to China or Pakistan, right? They may easily attack us. But if you have developed something and you make the world aware that you have this technology with you, then what happened? These countries, they will fear to attack India, right? Because they very well know if they attack India, India will definitely attack them with this particular missiles. Agni 5 missile, how much is the range? 5,000 kilometers is the range. That means if you attack from New Delhi, it will directly hit Beijing of China. That is why China very well know about this. It is nuclear fuel based intercontinental ballistic missile, okay? In that again, when you study missiles here, you will understand we have long range missiles, short range missiles, then we have cruise missiles, ballistic missiles. What are the differences between these? How we are using, what are the generations of missiles we have? These things you will be studying here, okay? So defense technology, so what we have studied, all these things, okay? These are not only important for mains, in prelims also, based on the latest defense technologies, based on latest biotechnologies also, they can ask the questions, okay? Coming to prelims, how they'll ask, I'll explain. Then nuclear technology. Why nuclear technology is very important? To generate the power, right? So as we are shifting from fossil based to non-fossil based, that means we are shifting towards renewable energy and clean energy, you know, we don't want pollution or climate change to happen, right? That is why we are shifting to clean energy sources, and nuclear energy is also clean energy, but it is costly. At the same time, it has some safety issues also, okay? In case of any disaster, you know how much is the impact that may cause, but at the same time, we cannot completely neglect nuclear technology. So you should know what is the nuclear technology, how many types of nuclear reactors we have, what is the generation potential of this, all these things you have to know here, okay? Then these are all the emerging technologies. They simply give emerging technologies in the syllabus, but these are the recent things. For example, blockchain technology, you know, everyone, okay? We have different cryptocurrencies, no? You will be hearing cryptocurrencies. That is mainly based on blockchain technology. What is blockchain? Whatever the data that is there, that is moved in the form of blocks and it is flowing in the form of a chain, okay? So there is unidirectional flow. So no one is controlling this. For example, if there is a sender and receiver, normally when you transfer your funds and all, what happens? The bank will be knowing the fund transfer, no, from where it has debited and from where it has credited. But in blockchain technology, what happens? Except the sender and receiver, there won't be any intermediary between, because of which government doesn't want to allow cryptocurrencies. Then what happens if they allow, which is based on blockchain technology? All the illegal money, black money, they can be used for doing different things. No? If government is not having any source to know, or if there is no regulatory mechanism with the government, then easily that money can be used by terrorists and all to develop any particular thing, right? So that is why whenever we have some technology, government regulation also is very important. Okay, in this domain we are having blockchain technology, but our banks also are using this blockchain technology where it can be suitable. Then we have cryptocurrencies, you know, augmented reality and virtual reality. You know AR and VR differences, right? You'll be seeing in the movies what is VR and AR. When you have 3D glasses, 3D movies, you will be having wearing glasses and all. No, what is it? Virtual reality. Okay, that means you will be going into some atmosphere or environment where that is not existing and you will feel that this is real. But augmented reality means whatever you are there only you have, but some enhanced presentation will be, that is what we call augmented reality. So you should understand the difference between augmented reality, virtual reality. In the recent times you are having mixed reality also. So what is this difference between these three? Then 3D printing. 3D printing means three-dimensional printing. Normally objects will have two-dimensional things only, but three-dimensional printing recently we started. So first time we have 3D printed post office launched in Bangalore. Recently 3D printed temple was inaugurated in Telangana itself. 3D printed mask was inaugurated in which country? Saudi Arabia. Okay, like this we have different technologies. So they are using these things to develop different things. You should know what is the main technology behind this 3D printing. Artificial we call, then virtual reality, here augmented, and these are the things. Then artificial intelligence, you know AI. You are all using AI also daily, okay? Chat GPT we have, different things, okay? So you are asking Siri, all these things, no, voice commands and all. This is nothing but artificial intelligence. Then machine learning means subset of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and again, okay, broader domain. But what is machine learning? When machine is able to do some tasks, okay, that we call machine learning. So it is Internet of Things means when you're connecting different devices with internet and you're operating. For example, you will be in office, but at the same time you can have the check over your home, you can on and off ACs or fans and everything. So that is what Internet of Things. Different things are getting connected with the help of internet, with which you can manage. Then deep learning. Deep learning means, again, in the robots and all, or the language modulations, we have deep learning, where the source code also will be understood, like ChatGPT, you can say, one of the example. Then smart grid. This is a technological thing. Smart grid means smart devices will be integrated into one grid. Then artificial neural networks. This is also one subset of artificial intelligence only. Then drone technology you are using, no? Drones, you know, everyone is using drones for many things, for photographs, you might see most commonly. Then quantum technology. Quantum means qubits will be there, okay? So using this we have quantum computing, quantum entanglements and all. Fundamental particles, qubits we have. Based on that we are developing some technology which is having high accuracy, less cost effective. Then edge computing. So these are all the recent times. Edge computing is also something related to cloud computing and all. We have different things. These are all the things which will be covering in the applications of science and technology in our daily lives, which you come across in the newspapers. When something is so significant for the country, or with some particular invention, if there is huge potential that India or the entire world can receive from it, then definitely it will become important for your examination, okay? So then, if you see, there is also one broader heading under clean technology, okay? Clean technology means in the recent times we are using EVs, no? Electric vehicles, okay? But what is the difference? Now we are using lithium ion batteries so that there will not be any pollutants released from, okay? But to develop that battery also you are using some technology, you know? Yes or no? That is what clean technology is. Different types of fuels we are using to develop this technology which is environmentally safe, okay? Hydrogen fuel cells we have, solar technology, you know, solar panels, okay? Randomly you cannot generate energy, you know, solar panels have to be arranged and all, from there you can generate energy. Microbial fuel and mean from algae also, okay? Which are the microorganisms, you are able to generate some fuel, biofuel. That is one technology. Lithium ion batteries, sodium batteries we used to have, silicon batteries. Now we have lithium ion batteries. Then national green hydrogen, you know, even on hydrogen we are relying so much. Okay, so green hydrogen means which is generated from renewable sources like solar and wind energy. Okay, no need to worry about all these things. These are just, I'm introducing that to the topics. Then biofuels. Biofuel means fuel which is generated from living organisms. Bio means living organisms, no, like food. So we have 4 generations of biofuels, in which first initially we started developing fuel from the food. Okay, but what happens with this? If you are generating fuel from the food, then sometimes it may lead to food scarcity also, no. That means people may divert food to have food grain. Instead of that, they may shift to the generation of fuels. So at that time, it may lead to food scarcity. Understanding this, then what we have done is we have shifted to second generation, where we are using spoiled, rotten rice, rotten potatoes, or molasses from the sugarcane. These type of things we are using, so that which is unfit for the human consumption. From there, we are trying to generate the fuel. That is second generation. Third generation, we have algae based. Okay. Then fourth generation, we have GM crop based, genetically modified crops. From there, we are trying to generate fuels. Biofuel, you know, ethanol blending is being promoted by the government. No? How much is the blending now? 10%. Okay. When you have petrol filled in your vehicles, that means 90% is only the petrol you are getting. 10% is ethanol. Ethanol is getting blended, because petrol we are importing from other countries. To 80% of our requirements are getting imported. That means government is paying so much to the other countries by buying petrol and all. But biofuels, they're cleaner compared to petrol. At the same time, we can generate biofuels on our own. But immediately we cannot change, no, from petrol to biofuels. Slowly we have to increase, and we have to generate the technology also. So whichever the technology that is there in using all these things, that is clean fuel technology or cleaner technologies. Then intellectual property rights means you will be studying all these things. The last topic I told you, no, traditional knowledge means what? For example, I'll give you a case study. You know, we have this habit of using neem and turmeric traditionally in our families, right from the ancient times. But what happened is, one of the US MNC, what it wants to do is, it wanted to patent turmeric use. For example, if it has patented turmeric use, will that be proper? We are the persons who are using right from the immemorial times, right? Yes or no? Turmeric has been in use, and we know turmeric is having antifungal, antibacterial properties and all. But what US company wants to do is, they wanted to patent, saying that we have for the first time have identified turmeric having antibacterial properties or antifungal, and they wanted to cash the market. But Indian government did not agree to this, because all the countries have to adhere. No, we have claimed traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge means we are using this, although we don't have any formula here, although we may not have any books written here for this particular thing, but still traditionally from different generations we are using this part of our lives. So we have blocked that attempt of US MNC in patenting the turmeric use. So we are trying to use, for example, most of the times, you know, most of the important herbs or any medicinal property things will be found in the forest, no? And you know very well, tribal people will have very good idea about the herbs and all. If you have seen different movies, in case of any incident, okay, so if snake bites happen and all, what happen, they'll have some herb, they'll be rubbing and they'll be squeezing the juice out of it and they'll apply there. That means they have some set of traditional knowledge. But example, think in another way, if some foreign company, they know that the tribals are using this particular herb for snake bite curing and all, then what they can do is, they can claim that particular herb and they can patent. Then what happens? Money will go to whom? Foreign company, no? But actually who have this idea? It is the tribal people or the indigenous people, no? It is not only with respect to India. Normally I am saying MNCs on one side and indigenous people on another side. Actually these people have the knowledge and idea, but they don't know how to make use of it or profit it. But MNCs will be exploiting this, no? That is why every country is maintaining some traditional digital libraries. In the recent times, they are maintaining digital libraries, saying that whatever the practices of tribals are there, or whatever the traditional knowledge they have, we are trying to put in digital platform so that these MNCs don't exploit the tribal people in the future, because whatever the benefits that come from these things have to go to the tribals only, but they should not go to the MNCs. That is what we are doing through this protection of traditional knowledge. This is also one type of intellectual property only. Then IPR policy. With respect to intellectual property protection, we have different initiatives launched by the government in the form of policies. If there is any recent policy released to protect IPRs by the government, you should know what are the features, what it wants to do. That is what you know. Then evergreening of patents. What is patent? I already have explained. Evergreening means what happens is, after the time of the patent is going to expire, that particular person who have invented, what he will do is, he will try to slightly modify the patent, okay, product. Then he'll say that I have modified this, for which again I want continuation of patent. That is what we call evergreening of patents. Okay, normally governments will not easily grant evergreening, because if evergreening happens, then it doesn't come into public domain, no? Then cost of drugs or any particular thing will not come down again. Always it will be high. Okay, that is why to have evergreening of patents also, they have to show that there is very good improvement. There is so much of change they have brought. With slighter and minor modifications, no one can claim evergreening of patents. Okay, otherwise different companies will be using this way and they will try to exploit markets commercially. Then compulsory licensing, I already told you. Compulsory licensing means in case of some emergency situations and which is nationally important situation at that time, government can waive off that patent period and they can give permissions to everyone, or they can give the patented product formula to everyone to manufacture the vaccines or whatever the life-saving drugs are there in situations like COVID-19. Whatever the government exception that is being used, that is called compulsory licensing, because it is compulsorily important to introduce that vaccine in this particular time. Otherwise, we will be losing our lives. So, that is one exception to the patent or intellectual property, which normally government should not do very often. Then you have GI tag. You know GI tags? We'll be hearing, no, geographical indication tag. For example, if you come across Hyderabad, what is the first thing you will be having? Hyderabadi Halim. Okay, that means when someone visits Hyderabad, they know if GI tag is given to Hyderabad Halim. That means this particular Halim from Hyderabad is having some uniqueness. It is having some indication. Okay, that means this particular thing or the uniqueness cannot be replicated by another particular area people. Only Hyderabadi people can manufacture or they can produce the same Halim with same flavors and all. No other particular area, otherwise out of Hyderabad, they can claim the same thing and they cannot market out. Okay, like this we have for food products, agriculture products, handicrafts, industrial products, different things. We have GI tags. So that again, it is like an incentive for the people to have new things produced and all. This is also one of the form of intellectual property right. Then Nobel Prizes also have to be covered. Okay, I'm not again saying like randomly you have to read all the Nobel Prizes awarded so far. It is not necessary also. But what you have to do is in the last year. Okay, that means if you're sitting in this year, 2024 means in 2023, you know Nobel Prizes will be given in different fields. I'm not going for all the fields also, like economics, literature, peace, those are not required. But when you're coming to science, you need to know who have been awarded in physics, who have been awarded in chemistry, and in medicine or physiology we call. So in these particular sciences streams and all, who have been awarded Nobel Prize. For what reasons? Nobel Prize means, you know, they have done something significantly, you know. You should just know what is the technology. You need not remember the names. In UPSC, they don't ask the names of the persons who have won the Nobel Prize, but they'll ask based on the technology for which it was awarded. For example, in the recent times, if one person was awarded medicine for discovering some drug, okay, or whatever the thing, whichever the technology that is involved in this, for example, biotechnology is involved. So then they can ask a question on biotechnology, because this person was awarded medicine Nobel Prize based on this biotechnology. So you should know what are the basics of this biotechnology and how to apply this. Okay, that is what you have to know. And you also, from prelims point of view and other state exams, state PCS if you want to prepare, for them you need to know in India who have won the Nobel Prize. And again, achievements of Indians we have, no, there also you will be studying the Indian persons with Nobel Prize from science field. Okay, this is what you have to understand. Then how to prepare here. Okay, so you can see first you have to understand the syllabus. That is why all the just 4 lines are mentioned by UPSC in the main syllabus and only 1 line is mentioned in prelim syllabus. But why I have taken this much amount of time to explain is to familiarize you with the syllabus, because only once you know what will be covered under this particular subject or aspect, okay, so then you can better prepare yourselves. First thing for any subject is understand the syllabus. Always syllabus copy has to be there with you whenever sitting in any class, not only science and technology. Whenever you are sitting for any class, you need to have prelims and main syllabus with you. Okay, what is the subject going on? What is there mentioned in the syllabus? You need to know. Without syllabus, there is nothing you wanted to achieve and you can achieve nothing. Then second most important thing is previous year papers. Okay, so both for prelims and mains. If you see how UPSC is asking questions, then only you can tune your preparation, right? Yes or no? So you see, for example, if you are asked to go to a new place, you will be having a lot of confusion. But if there is a person who is guiding you, that will be better no for you and you will feel safe also. Yes or no? Same way, the guide for you in UPSC preparation is the PYQs, previous year questions, in the prelims or in mains. Okay, there will be compilations of prelims, last 25-30 years questions, and mains questions also. By those things, all the question papers will be there itself, and some explanations also will be given. So those explanations, if you don't want to refer, also fine, but you will understand subject wise how the questions are being asked and how you have to prepare yourself. That you will understand only when you know the PYQs and its importance, right? Without this and this, you cannot prepare. How much ever you put your effort, if you read 20 hours also, if you don't focus on these 2 aspects, there is no use in preparation. Okay, then build a strong foundation. First, I told you to understand space technology, how GSLV is operating, how PSLV is operating, or Chandrayaan 3. For that, you need to understand what is a rocket and a space launcher, or satellite and a space launch vehicle. Before these things, understanding these things, for example, CRT cell therapy you have. But before that, you should understand what is B cell, T cell, where are they present, what is the objective or what is the purpose of these B cells and T cells, and how they're fighting against cancer. Only if you know basics, then you can understand what is the technological aspect of this. So always you have to keep your foundation strong. How you will keep your foundation strong? When you read NCRTs, okay? NCRTs, okay? NCRTs, because those will be given from 6th to 12th standard people. You know how much easily elaborated way they will be giving you. So easily you will understand. Rather than reading directly a book for science and technology, if you read NCRTs based on science or any particular subject, it will be easy for you to understand. Right from the 6th class student level, you will understand, no? So it will be easy. So that remember, NCRTs like pillars of a foundation, or for a building. Without foundation, you cannot have strong building, no, or strong base. Same way, without NCRTs, your preparation will not be that much strong. Okay, because most of the questions, if you see, out of 100 questions being asked in UPSC prelims, 30 they'll give. That means easy, moderate, difficult. So you should not worry about those 30 questions. Whatever the 30 coming from easy and moderate, 30, 60. Okay, so these 30, at least, see, for example, as I told you, 15-20 questions I told you in science and technology, you know, out of those 15-20 also, at least 5-6 questions they'll be asking from basic science only. Basic science means which you read from physics. Normally don't ask much from physics and chemistry. Mostly they'll ask from biology. Okay, that means what is for example, if they can ask you what is stem cell. Stem cells means what? Which can undifferentiated cells which can regrow. Yes or no? Some basic thing. That means if, for example, if government is focusing on some technology related to stem cells, everyone will be reading what is the technology, who developed that, what is the application. But what UPSC can do? It can ask what is actually stem cell? What is the main use of it? Okay, that means only you know the basic, then you have to know the application part of it. Okay, this is what you have to do. Then update it with current affairs. After basic strong, then you have to link it with current affairs. Okay, once you're keeping your basics strong, you link it with current affairs with newspaper things, what are going on in the present times in science and technology, in environment, in any domain. Okay, so what is going on, you should understand. Then use quality study materials. Don't go over the materials, okay, because under UPSC, and as the syllabus is so much vast, so much of market, you have so much of flooding happens in terms of materials also. But you should be very careful in selecting a book. Okay, only the material which is very authentic and reliable. Okay, if you have any confusion, you can ask the respective faculties with respect to that and you can clarify. But whenever someone suggests, don't go beyond it. Okay, only one book should be there, that has to be read number of times rather than reading one book one time. Okay, then make personalized notes. If you don't remember some things, okay, make short note of it. Not again detailed notes. If you make notes, it will pile up like this. Again, you don't have time for revision at that time. So what you have to do is, whatever the things you think more important, or if you think something very confusing, okay, only those things try to make note of it. Try to keep your notes short and crisp. Then practice, revise regularly. Practice means, see, for example, if you have studied today space technology, or if there is a class on space technology, what you have to do after the class, whenever you have free time, you have to revise initially what happened in the class and what was discussed. Then later you have to open the PYQs, question bank, which you normally have. You have to open based on space technology, what type of questions were asked in the last 5 years or last 10 years. Just only check space related questions. Okay, so whether that particular class, whatever you have learned, is that helpful in solving the question or not. Analyze yourself. Okay, then only you will understand how it can help you. Otherwise, you can ask, if you can't understand, you can ask the faculty like how the question is asked and I cannot connect the dots and all. You can take the help. But for that you to know, then what you have to do is PYQs have to be focused. From which area, which questions are being asked. Then also you have to revise regularly. Because see, today I'll say something. Tomorrow another faculty will come and he'll teach a new subject. Then what happens? If lot of things will go out of mind, no? So only if you revise what you have written, what you have recorded, those only will help you. Because when you're coming across many things in UPSC preparation, normally things will go out. It is humanly the normal thing, what happens for everyone. So what you have to do is repeatedly you have to revise. For example, if you're having classes for 6 days, 7th day completely revise what happened in the 6 days on in the particular subject. So one day you have to take break for yourself, at the same time you have to revise. Don't think that I'll work all the 7 days, 24/7, I will achieve first rank in the next attempt. That will not work out. It will definitely negatively impact and it will come back to you again. What you have to do is, you have to strategize your preparation. 4-5 hours if you have seen this year, rank 2. By doing, although he is doing a job, he has focused only 5 hours in a day and he has secured All India rank 2 in the very first attempt. Means he had a plan. He need not prepare only 1 year before the exam. He can have a plan. From 2-3 years also he can execute that plan. But what he is doing is, he is allocating only 5 hours per day. It is not required also not to study like 18 hours, 20 hours or nothing. Okay. Every day if you have after classes, or when you have classes 3-4 hours, or when you don't have classes 6 to 8 hours. That is ideal. If you read 6 to 8 hours and rest of the time you can do whatever you want, still you can clear UPSC. There is nothing rule that only 20 hours if you study you will get UPSC. No one will do that, because when you continuously study, retention also decreases. What you study will not be stored here. Then what is the use of it? You have to give some rest also. At the same time, you have to focus on your preparation. So in that way, plan along with practice. Whenever you study a topic, immediately practice the previous questions or some MCQs based on it, or mains based questions on the particular topic, and revise them regularly. This has to be done. Then correlate with current affairs, I already told you. Then see the questions. For example, just have a look over this. This was asked in 2023, last year prelims. Let me know after reading the question, how many of you understood the question? How many of you are frightened by seeing the question? I don't know anything about it. Honestly, I always reward honest persons. Just answer. How many of you understood something, or how many of you didn't have any idea? Feel I know nothing about it. See, yes, this happens. Whoever raised their hands, I feel those persons are very honest. Okay, because in the examination hall, when these type of questions comes, your mind doesn't work immediately. You don't recall many things, but still this question can be attempted, and most of the persons will attempt this question. How, I'll explain. Okay, so in prelims, basically two types of questions will come from science and technology. One is, as I told you, what is B cells, T cell, basic science question. Okay, so they'll ask the statement below which they'll give four options directly. Okay, you have to choose. That means basic questions can be asked. Or second type of question they can ask you is application oriented question. For example, if GPS technology is there, based on GPS technology they can give some applications, like it helps in locating the things, it can help in driving, it can help in some other thing like this. 4 options they'll give. How many of these things will be possible with GPS technology? Like this they'll ask you. So do remember, because every person, even the AR1, if you put a question before him, he doesn't have idea about this, because it is not humanly possible to read everything cover to cover. But what you have to do is, remember this, any person who have well prepared for UPSC for 1 year or 2 years or anything, okay, so that person only knows 30 questions out of 100 questions which are given in the prelims paper. But with 30 you cannot clear the prelims, no. What they'll do is, they'll use the intelligence or intelligent guessing or elimination techniques. Okay, sometimes elimination techniques are not working, but intelligent guessing means, again, how you have to do is, here, read this statement, leave entire part of the statement. Here, some microorganisms can grow. Okay, some and can. Okay, then here some and can, some and can. Think here, the person who have said the question. Okay, so it is easy for him to prove that some organisms can grow or cannot grow. Can grow. That means if you go with the reverse of this particular statement, is it easy to prove that some microorganisms cannot grow in that particular environment? Is it possible? In science and technology, it is not possible, because you don't know. It will happen or it will not happen. Here, they did not give absolute statement like all microorganisms. If they give all, then you can rule it out. But as they have given some can grow, can means the question itself is saying that probability is there, which you cannot rule out. Yes or no? So, in that way, if you see the statements without reading the boiling point, freezing point and all, some can means what? There is a probability that can happen, which the examiner cannot rule out. So, what is the answer for this? All 3. That is what the toppers do. They don't have the idea, they don't know the names of the microorganisms, they don't know which can grow in the boiling environment or freezing point and everything, but they know how to answer these type of questions. Again, you can ask me, how to solve these type of questions means, with time, with everything you will understand. UPSC makes you to learn the journey, okay. So here, in science and technology, the probability based questions will definitely come. That is why, see, UPSC paper will be seeming to be difficult for everyone. But if you understand how the paper is being set, you can easily solve the questions. This is not a big thing. Okay. So this is one such example. If all is given, instead, it is very difficult to prove. But if some is given means there is a chance. You cannot rule out that this cannot happen, right? The examiner cannot prove if something is there. If he says all microorganisms can grow, I can show by conducting a test that all our microorganisms cannot grow. At that time, probability will be less. But when some is given, there is a high probability to happen. So easily without reading, you can go for all the 3. That is the answer for this question. Understood? How you have to attempt? Without knowledge also, as I said, with common sense. This is one such question. Okay? Then, second one, with reference to green hydrogen. See, can be used. Again, okay? Do remember, can be used to mean there is a probability. Okay? You cannot disprove that this cannot happen. Okay? So, in science and technology, application oriented questions, see, I am not saying this. If you watch any toppers also, they will be saying this only. In application oriented questions, unless some oddman thing fits in the options, you can, if you identify any oddman which is not related to the technology, you can remove. Otherwise, all the applications, most of the time, all the above will be correct. Or sometimes, like these type of some or can questions, most of the times, all the things will be correct. Okay? Okay, so not only me, any person who wants to clear prelims, they have to resort on these things, because with the 30 questions which we know, okay, not only now, even if you take 5 years and if you study every day, then also you will be only knowing 30 questions in 100 questions. How to increase your score is again relying on these type of questions, and you have to turn these into your favor. Clear? Then see, this is another question based on technology. Olbachia method is recently seen in use with respect to. Okay, in this type of questions, they have asked some technology with which they have named it, and they're asking it is related to. See, it is very simple. If you know what is the technology associated with or what is this method associated, you can easily answer. Okay, why this is in use? I am explaining here. It is related to mosquitoes, because you know recently we have so many malarial, dengue, chikungunya deaths and all which are caused by mosquitoes. What government is doing is it is trying to sterilize so that mosquito population will not enhance or increase. Okay, so for that they have used this Olbachia method, which is so much in use. So they're just asking if you know that is related to controlling the population of mosquitoes. How easy it is? Yes or no? Other 3 options are not at all related to this. Yes or no? In this way, UPSC will be asking the questions. Clear? Then aerial metagenomics. Here also again, aerial means you know, not that Ariel, what you use for laundry. Okay? This aerial means air. Yes or no? So let us see. Collecting the DNA samples from air. Okay? Even if you don't know metagenomics, I am saying how to answer. This is smart work how you have to do. Then you have understanding the genetic makeup of avian species. Avian species means which flow in the air and all, but still it is not that much related to air, right? So let's see. Using airborne devices to collect blood samples. This also can be done. Then you sending drones to inaccessible areas to collect plants and animal materials from the land surface. So how many options you can remove from the thing understanding the term aerial? 2 means B and D got eliminated. That means if you don't know, if you know, very well, good. Otherwise, if you don't know, at least you're having 50% probability to be correct, no? In this way, you have to think A or C, which seems to be more correct, you have to go with that. Okay? Again, if there is a chance to eliminate these 2 also, you have to try. But if there is no chance, you have to attempt this type of question. Otherwise, you cannot increase your score. Depends on your luck, A or C, but answer here is A. Okay? This is how it works. I am saying how to solve. Then microsatellite DNA is used in the case of which of the following? Microsatellite DNA. Try to answer this question. Try to think in common sense perspective and write from understanding the, decode the term. A, B, A. What is the answer? A. C. Why not going for D? Answer it also, no? Yes, please. A and C. You're ruling out or you're listing A and C? What are the options you have narrowed down? Which I can eliminate at the first? A. Oh God. Answer here is D. I know very well no one will answer. Okay. So here with respect to drugs, okay, clinical trials in a population. See, understand, in case if you, although you are seeing like species and everything, but what is making you unique among yourself? The DNA, you know. To understand in a population how the drugs are functioning, you need to go in the DNA level, right? Again, common sense. Okay. So how it can be differentiated among the population, which is making you unique? Your DNA is making you unique, no? But again, I do understand in the examination hall under stress, all this common sense will become nuisance. Yes or no? It will have no sense. But still, that is what you have to. You have to be like a Buddha in the examination hall. In spite of lot of pressure, heat, temperature, everything, you have to keep your calm. Whoever can beat this stress and will be calm, they'll answer these questions and they'll definitely clear prelims. Who will become on the other way? They will make other way for the people and they will come out of the examination hall. Okay, this is what happens. Then, so this is 2022 question. Okay, basic question related to B cells and T cells. if you know, in WBCs we have in the blood, we have RBCs, white blood cells and blood platelets, no? In WBCs we have B cells and T cells, lymphocytes we call. So this protect the body from environmental allergens. They ask, this elevates means increases body pain and inflammation. This is an immunosuppressant in the body. Immunosuppressant means immune system will be curtailed down, and they protect the body from the diseases caused by pathogens. Which is the correct one? D. That means when you are sure shot about what is actually B cell and T cell, easily you can answer. Is there any complexity in the question? If you know basics, no. That is what UPSC is asking. That is why I have given recent questions only. Then you can see which of the following is in the context of qubit. Where there is option, only one option. You know, if you know qubit is related to quantum, there is nothing confusing in the options. See how UPS is framing the questions beautifully. Only if you know certain basic things, it is helping you in the options. They are not making closer options also. They are making it very clear. Then here you can see again biofuels can. Every year 1-2 questions easily they will come from this. Even without knowing this biofilm also, you can answer and you can go with 1, 2, 3. This is what you have to do. Every time we don't know the questions, okay. So then mains questions, if you see introduce the concept of artificial intelligence. You need to understand what is artificial intelligence. How does this help in clinical diagnosis? Means they have asked application part of artificial intelligence in health and medicine. Then do you perceive any threat of privacy of the individual using AI in the healthcare? That means what they have asked? They have asked negative impact of artificial intelligence. That means first you have to, in the introduction, okay, answer writing class will be taken later on, but just understand in the introduction you have to introduce what is artificial intelligence. Then in the next part of the answer you have to write what are the applications of artificial intelligence in health, how it is helping us. After writing this, you have to suggest, although we have these positives, certain minus points or certain drawbacks are also there from the artificial intelligence technology in health. Then write the conclusion. Although we have drawbacks, if you can regulate and we can try to restrict, okay, this from misuse and all, we can have better benefits derived from the technology. Like this you have to conclude. That's what you have to write. There is nothing complexity, no. They didn't ask what is artificial intelligence, what is the technology behind it. They're asking artificial intelligence, what is its application in health. That is what. Then use of unmanned aerial vehicles means drones. Okay. Unmanned aerial vehicles by our adversaries. Adversaries means what? Enemy countries like Pakistan, China, across the borders to ferry arms and ammunition, drugs is a serious threat to the internal security. Here it can be a question under internal security, at the same time S&T also. Okay, sometimes. How to tackle this threat means how to enhance science and technology aspect in the border. Okay, it is having relation with internal security, at the same time science and technology also. So how drones can help us. So what happens? In some areas, for the example, in the India-Pakistan border, in Jammu and Kashmir, it is not humanly possible to place all the mans or the armed persons throughout the weather, no? All throughout the season. Yes or no? In winter season, they cannot withstand the harsh weather conditions and all. At that time, we can use drones, no? To better guard our borders and all. So you can write what are the latest things. If you see, previously we used to have normal wide fencing, but now we are having electric fencings. We are having mobile towers installed, so we can easily, we are having drones which are rotating all the time, and we are having clear-cut observation what is going on without having more strain on the manpower or human resources. So how we are using science and technology to guard our borders better. That is what the question is asking. Very straightforward question. Then what is the main task of India's third moon mission? What is it? Chandrayaan-3. I told you. When it was given 23 mains, because 23 itself we have launched Chandrayaan-3. So in that way you can better predict the questions before only. Chandrayaan-3 could not be achieved in its earlier mission. Means Chandrayaan-2 failed, no? What failed in Chandrayaan-2 and what we could achieve through the same Chandrayaan-3 was asked. Means you should understand what is wrong in Chandrayaan-2, what we have achieved in Chandrayaan-3. That is the first part of the question. Then list the countries that have achieved this task. Means we are not the first country to land on the moon. Okay, or soft landing also has been tested by different countries. But India became the first country to land on the southern pole of the moon. Okay, and you also have to list out all the countries which have soft landed on the moon. This is what you have to understand. Then also introduce subsystems in the spacecraft and explain the role of virtual launch control center at the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center to contribute the successful launch from Sriharikota. In case this part is a difficult part, if you know technical things only you can answer. But still, if you answer half part of the question, if it is asked for 10 marks, you will be getting half of the marks if you don't know, I'm saying. But if you know in detail what are the components of Chandrayaan 3, you can answer. Okay, but most of the times they don't go in detail. Okay, very random. Then in 2022, you see, launched on 25th December 2021, James Webb Space Telescope has been in use. When it was launched, 21. When they have asked, 22. That means previous year current affair again. How it is making news since then? Unique features, because space telescopes are giving origins of the universe. Okay, how it happened, how the Big Bang happened, how the explosion happened, and how we have present day galaxies and all. That information we are getting from James Webb Telescope. As the new telescope was launched before year only, they're asking how it is helping over previous space telescopes. Like we have Hubble telescope, which is previously there. Instead of Hubble, we have new telescope called James Webb Telescope. How it is different from the previous one, how it is helpful for us, and what are the key goals of this mission, what they wanted to achieve through this James Webb Telescope, and what are the benefits in case if we can get the objectives fulfilled through this mission, what are the benefits we are gaining from this mission. Okay, in that way, that means no technological things are asked here. What is the objective of the mission, what are the benefits, and how it is different from its previous mission. Only that. It is asking only in a generalist way. They are not asking you to write an answer like ISRO scientist or someone. Okay, that is what you have to keep in mind. Then what is the basic principle behind vaccine development? Why vaccines are so much in use? You know, after COVID, we have different vaccines coming into picture, and how vaccines work and what are the approaches by Indian vaccine manufacturers to produce COVID-19. You have to write about mRNA vaccines, traditional vaccines, we have nasal vaccines, different types of vaccines we have, no? So what are the things? Based on immune system, we have these vaccines developed, okay? So we have active immunity, passive immunity, like this we have different types based on which we develop these vaccines. You have to write in India what type of COVID-19 vaccines we have, okay? Again, a basic thing related to current affairs. So this is with respect to science and technology. I also cover current affairs also in this particular thing. Just wait. Yes. So if you see in the prelim syllabus, okay, now we are shifting our focus to current affairs. If you see the first line of the prelim syllabus, there is one word mentioned is current events of national and international importance, okay. That means you need not go with the state specific things. It is very clear. Unless you go for the interview, state specific questions will not be asked, okay. At the time of interview, which state you belong, there you have to prepare, okay. Only national and international, whichever happens in the national domain or international domain of significant nature, those only will be asked, okay, not everyday happenings. Then here there is nothing mentioned in the rest of the part, this is only line. But if you see in mains, there is no mention about current affairs in any paper. In GS papers we don't have, in essay we don't have, or in optional also we don't have. Does that mean there is no relevance to the current affairs in mains? If you see, except this GS 4 paper, okay, in rest of the GS 1, 2, 3, all the 3 papers also, we have current affairs linkage, okay. That means although it is not implicitly mentioned that there is current affairs in this syllabus of the GS papers, but still there is some presence. How I'll show you. So here you can understand. See, this is one of the 2023 prelims question, okay. They have given invasive species specialist group. This is environment related question, current affairs, okay. So this particular grouping or this particular data release were done by which of the organization, okay, in terms of environment. The answer here is International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN we call. So this is from the current affairs. That means if you read the newspaper, this particular report was brought by this organization. So they have given direct one. What is the report? Which organization has released this? This is one of format of question current affairs. Then you can see regions often in the news. That means again you have to go through the newspaper. Okay, what are the countries or what are the conflict areas which all the time coming in the news? Then what are the reasons why they were in news? You have to match. This type of questions can be asked here. For example, you have been hearing about Russia-Ukraine war, Israel-Palestine war. Now Iran-Israel are also fighting against each other. No? So when these things happen, see, I'm again saying not 1 day or 2 days. If some news is coming in the newspapers very often, for 1 week or 10 days or 15 days or 1 month, then that has to be looked into. Those things you cannot ignore. Okay, do keep these things. So you can understand these are always in the news for longer periods. Okay, so if you see this Nagorno-Karabakh region is in Armenia-Azerbaijan border dispute. So you can match this. Okay, so they have asked following pairs. If this is there, only this Zaporizhia, this is Israel Lebanon. This is also not correct. This is between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so in this way, answer is none here. Then here you can see these are again a question based on current affairs. Chad, Guinea, and Mali and Sudan. These are the recent times so much in news. And what is a common reason to all of them? It is successful coups. Means the governments were overthrown by the military in these countries. That is why in the last 1 year or 1.5 years, they were so much in news. That is what one common correlation these countries have. Then why the question was asked on G20? Previously, we have hosted G20 for the first time. No, India hosted. So next year prelims, they have asked a question on G20. Okay, that means sometimes you have to predict and you have to prepare before only. Some common areas you have to predict and you have to prepare yourself so that you have these questions correct. Okay, so here the question is asking G20 is originally established as a platform of finance ministers and central bank governors. That is correct. Initially, it was only confining to economic domain. Later on, its ambit got expanded. So this statement is correct. Then digital public infrastructure is one of the priority in G20. This is also correct. Both 1 and 2 is the answer. Okay, so in this way. Then see this question from GS1. 2023 society based question. Read the first question. Do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? So this part of the question is from society section of GS1, but it is not from the static part. It is from the current affairs, because you know last year there was so much in news related to same-sex marriages. Yes or no? When same-sex marriages and Supreme Court said we cannot legalize same-sex marriage, this question was asked. That means it is not asked randomly from society. They have linked society part with what is going on in the present. That is what the importance of current affairs in GS papers also. Okay, whatever the topics you see in the syllabus mentioned, you have to correlate with the present happenings from the newspapers. Then only you can solve these type of questions. So why it is losing its sacrament? Now, increasing emphasis on individualism. Then live-in relationship culture is increasing. Then focus more on careers are also increasing. No, same-sex marriages are increasing. These are all the things which are violating or which are threatening the institution of marriage. No, so that is losing its sacrament. But at the same time, you have to suggest that it is not negative only. Sometimes only it is limited to some pockets only, but still marriage as an institution has remained significant in Indian society. You should not say already it has lost its relevance, we cannot do anything in this domain. You should not conclude like that. You should always be positive and you should suggest, although there are some challenges to the marriage or institution and all, we can overcome these challenges, or this is only limited to some particular domain. So this is not all over or all over India or not universal in India. That is what you have to suggest. Then here you can see second question, explain why suicide among young women is increasing in the society. This is also a current affairs related question, because post COVID, okay, what happened, you know, most of the women who are married, what happened? They're living in the persons or to whom they got married, the partners and all, they're working from homes and all. Yes or no? What happened with them? When they're working, they're resorting to more domestic violence, clashes between divorce. So all these things are increasing. That is leading to increase in suicidal rate. This was not again asked randomly. NCRB data, National Crime Records Bureau data has shown post-COVID there is increase in women's suicide rate because of COVID-19 and lockdown, because of which they are subjected to more marital tortures by the husbands, because of which there is increase in crime rate, so or suicide rate. So that is why UPSC has asked this question. That means from the society only, there is role of women mentioned in society syllabus, but linking that with the current affairs, they have asked a question. Okay, then see here, child cuddling is now being replaced by mobile phones. Okay, everyone agrees with this statement, right? Discuss its impact on the socialization of children. Again, this is current affairs related question only, no? That means current affairs is not only limited to prelims. In every paper of GS 1, 2, 3, you have this correlation, right? And then GS 2 you can see. here. This is from polity, role of presiding officers in the state legislature. This is related to speaker and deputy speaker in the parliament or state legislature. Why this is in news? Because you know, Maharashtra assembly crisis we have seen, Eknath Shinde, Shiv Sena fraction, they have fought for the symbols, no? They said speaker is not, one faction who says that speaker is not working neutrally or impartially, so the other will say he is functioning good. So all the time he cannot give decision in favor of two persons, no? So there is some question about whether the speaker is being independent or not. So as this role of the speaker with respect to that Maharashtra crisis is so much in news, they have asked a question, what is the role of presiding officer? So some people who don't know, they'll think this question was asked randomly from polity. But that is having polity origin with application from the current affairs, from the newspaper. If you observe the things which are going on very often in polity, in environment, in economy, society, geography, every subject is linked with current affairs. Okay, this is one such example. Then role of Competition Commission of India. Competition Commission of India is also so much in news. What is this body? To ensure fair market, okay, and not to have any monopoly in the market. This Competition Commission is one of the statutory body working. Recently, we have Competition Commission bill passed. With respect to this, opposition parties said there is some criticism against the government. So much in news related to this. That is why again they have asked a question. Then they have asked virus as a conflict is affecting the functioning of SCO. SCO means Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So this was also so much in news because when we want new members to be inducted into SCO, what happened is some countries opposed. Okay, they don't want expansion of SCO. So virus of conflict is affecting this SCO. That is what they have asked. That means this is from IR section in GS2, but again linked with current affairs. I'm showing some examples, etc. So here you have Indian diaspora in the West, because in the recent times, you know, in Israel or Palestine or in Iran, are people who got settled. They're being evacuated by different missions, no? Okay, so we have to take care about Indian diaspora who are settled in different parts of the world, right? So what is the priority? What is the benefit we are getting from diaspora? Economic benefits, social benefits, cultural benefits, you have to highlight. Again, this is a current affairs question. Then constitution is a living instrument with enormous dynamism. It is a constitution made for progressive society. Why this question was asked? Again, because Supreme Court is always expanding the scope of Article 21. Recently, you know, right to sleep was included. Previously, right against adverse effects of climate change was included. Like that, they're including everything under Article 21. They're expanding the scope of the constitution. Previously, under the same Indian legal system only, we have same-sex as a criminal offense. But what happened subsequently? Supreme Court said Section 377 is now decriminalized. Decriminalized means they said same-sex is not an offense anymore. That means we are expanding, no? We are changing with the times. Previously, there is nothing allowed between the same-sex persons. But now, we are recognizing them, we are allowing them. That means, as constitution is always a living document, according to the situations and needs, it will expand. That is what you have to give some, by suggesting some examples which happened in the recent times. Okay, even you can include here, Article 21 and under right to life, what Supreme Court said is medical termination of pregnancy also. There is a case before the Supreme Court where the woman said when she wanted to abort, the laws are not allowing her to abort. So what she said is, right to have reproductive choice is my choice because I have to bear the child. It is my life, my liberty, whether I have to continue with the pregnancy or whether to abort. So Supreme Court for the first time said right to reproductive autonomy is also integral part of right to life. So you have to include all these examples and suggest that yes, according to these things, we can understand constitution is a living document which is changing with time. That is what UPS is expecting. They have asked illustrate means you have to give some examples. Okay. Then explain the structure of the parliamentary committees. Why parliamentary committees is so much in question? Recently, because government, there is some like other opposition parties are accusing the government that government is not passing the bills. Normally, what is the legislative setup is, when a bill is being introduced in Lok Sabha, before it passes to Rajya Sabha, in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there will be some parliamentary committees, again with members, MPs only. But what they have to do is, they will have some check whether the bill is proper or not. But what government is doing is, without referring the bills to the parliamentary committees, it is directly passing the bills and giving the president for assent. Okay, then that is why they're asking opposition parties, you are not referring any bill to the parliamentary committees. This is a violation of democracy and violation of parliamentary system itself. That is what opposition parties always have accused the government in the last 1 year, because of which they have asked a question, what is a parliamentary system, how it can ensure financial accountability in the parliament. That is what the question. That means if you are knowing the things which are happening in the newspapers for the 1 year and 1.5 year time, you can answer all these questions. Static along with current affairs. With static, you cannot answer the questions, you cannot get good marks. When you mix static with current affairs, then only you have edge over others. Otherwise, you don't score well. If you get 4 marks, the person who have linked static with current affairs, he'll get 5 or 6 marks. That means 1 or 2 marks more than you. That is what, okay? So in any subject, you have to not limit yourself to the static part. You have to inculcate current affairs also into your answer. Then, expansion and strength of NATO. You know why NATO is so much in news? For the past 1.5 year, since Russian invasion of Ukraine, from then till now also NATO was so much in news. Again, a question based on current affairs only they have asked in IR. Okay? Then, GS3 here, you can see what is the status of digitalization. Why? Because government is focusing always on digitalization, right? Digital rupee, digitalization, taxes and everything, no? So, digitalization, how the problems are being faced, because so much of population is still illiterate or they don't have access to smartphones, and you know, there is technological nitty-gritties also will be there. Some people can be easily cheated in the name of digitalization. You have to write the problems or threats which we face in the name of digitalization. Okay, then introduce the concept of artificial intelligence. This we have seen already. Then winning of hearts and minds in terrorism affected areas is essential to restore the trust of the population. In the Jammu and Kashmir, they have asked this question. That means, you know, Jammu and Kashmir is affected by terrorism and all, insurgency and terrorism. So, how to win hearts and of these people? Because you know why so much in news? Article 370 was abrogated. Jammu and Kashmir, you know, it was under shutdown, internet shutdown and all these things. Later on, we are trying to focus some on developmental aspects of the Jammu and Kashmir, and we are trying to integrate Jammu and Kashmir into mainland India. In this context, they have asked a question, how to win the hearts and minds of the Jammu and Kashmir. Means, instead of, because see, normally any problem of social issue like terrorism or poverty, Naxalism, anything is poverty. When they don't have equal access to all the opportunities, these people will resort to these type of things, crimes, terrorism, insurgency or Naxalism, anything. But if you are able to provide the basic amenities and if you are able to equally distribute the resources to all, then these type of problems can be easily eradicated. So those only you have to suggest here. Okay, these things you will know with the time, but just I am giving an example here. Adoption of electric vehicles in environment they have asked. Okay, then intergovernmental plan on climate change. You know, every day we are experiencing rising temperatures, climate change and all. So they have released a report saying that by 2100 AD temperatures are going to increase. So how it is going to impact the coastal communities? That is what the question. Again, related to current affairs based on the report. Then how you have to read the newspaper is, you have to integrate current affairs with the static. Okay, so when you are reading a newspaper, for example, if there is an article on the office of governor, you have to read polity, office of governor, and you have to correlate what is happening now in the present times. Why the office of governor is so much in news, or why it is now debatable. Some, you know, Tamil Nadu chief minister, and they said the office of governor entirely has to be abolished. Why they are saying it has to be abolished? What are the reasons they are citing? These things you have to know from the current affairs aspect. Then number of questions being asked. Current affairs, if you see individually, without mixing with any subject, you will be having 10 to 15 questions from current affairs, like regions and news and all. But again, if you integrate them with some part of the static part, there will definitely have almost 30 to 40% of the questions coming from static with current affairs. Okay, any subject, there will be some current affairs part. In geography, if earthquakes are so much in news, they'll ask a question from basics of earthquakes. But most of the people will think that is a question from geography. But it is because in news, because of some earthquake in some country, they're asking that question from the current affairs oriented in geography section. In that way, every subject will have its linkage with current affairs. So you cannot integrate, you cannot like remove current affairs from your preparation, you always have to integrate. So how much is the time you have to devote is 60 is to 40. 60% you have to give to the static part and 40% you have to give to the current affairs. Any subject you have to link with current affairs. Without linking with current affairs, you cannot get good marks in prelims and mains. Even in an interview also, they'll be asking all the current affairs oriented questions only. What is going on? Yesterday, like recently IFS interviews are being happened. So they're asking what is Israel-Palestine war. Yesterday itself is the first time interview happened. They're asking about Israel-Palestine war. They're not Indian Forest Service. Why they're asking about Israel-Palestine war? Because you need to take a stand, which is correct and which is wrong. So that type of questions. In value addition, in your mains answer, although if they ask a question on polity, although if it appears that it is coming from static polity, if you link some current affairs aspect in that answer, definitely 1 or 2 marks extra will be given to you. If you just simply write what is there in the book from the static part, you will not be rewarded. You will be given an average mark. But if you integrate, although if the question is not asking any current affairs aspect also, if you know any correlation, for example, if you're writing an earthquake related question or volcanism related question, if they have asked what are the types of volcanoes, and if you write in the recent times Mount Etna volcano in the Italy region, it has erupted and it has resulted in volcanic vortex rings and all. So if you add just one line about it, that means examiner will understand that yes, not only the part of the question which we asked is answered, at the same time he is giving the current orientation also. That will be given extra 1 mark. Think 1 mark extra for one question. Out of 20 questions in one paper, how much is the difference? 20 marks. Out of 4 papers, 80 marks. How much is a huge difference you will get? This is what the importance of current affairs. Not only in prelims but in mains also. Okay. Then how to prepare is you have to be generalist in nature. Don't go depth. You expand your width. Okay, this is what I'm advising right from the beginning. In any subject, even in current affairs, you have to know things in a wider way, not in a deeper way. Then current affairs weightage I already have told you. Okay, so in GS 1, 2, 3 also, especially GS 2 and 3, if you see the topper score, they'll not, in one of the paper they don't cross 100 also, because most of the people they'll be focusing on optionals and all, because GS 2 and 3 papers entirely they are dynamic. Polity, science and technology, environment, economy, all these questions will be coming from current affairs oriented. So they don't know which type of questions will be coming. So what they'll do is, they'll rather than focusing on GS 2 and 3, they'll focus on optional which is limited in syllabus and repeated themes will only be coming. So they'll focus on optional, they score well there, they'll try to get average score in GS 2 and 3. In that way, they'll try to ensure that they are making into the list. But in case if you are having good edge over current affairs also, you can increase your score in GS 2 and 3, which will definitely gain some advantage to you, okay, in this way. So how to prepare current affairs is reading the newspaper. Which newspaper you can follow is Indian Express or Hindu, anything, any one, don't multiply your sources again. Then identify the backward and forward linkage. For example, if there is an article on Israel-Palestine war, so what is causing the present situation you have to understand. What will be the impact of this Israel-Palestine war on entire global economy and on India? We are always concerned with India, no? If 2 countries are fighting, what will be the impact on our own? That you have to know. At the same time, is the problem coming at this moment only, or there is a rivalry between Israel and Palestine right from the beginning? That backward linkage also you have to know. Okay, this you have to do from your part. When you read anything, you have to identify backward and forward linkage. Then only you have holistic 360-degree view about one particular thing, right? Then making current affairs notes, it is not so much advisable. If you are thinking which is so much important, try to make one-liners, that's it. Don't make pages notes daily. At the time you have this much notes accumulated. You don't have time to revise at the end, I'm promising. No one will have time again to revise all the bundle. Even if you make your own notes also, at the end you will feel so much rush, you will even not dust it out also. Okay, so that will be the situation. Try to make short notes in case if you want, and integrate this with your static subject all the time. And monthly magazines are the thing which you can rely. Any institute, okay, we are also providing any monthly magazine, because entire 30 days you need not prepare your notes. We will be covering most important things and will be giving you any monthly magazine. If you see 100 or 120 pages, it will be giving you all the information which happened in the previous month in both prelims and mains point of view. Instead of you doing the job, we are doing and we are giving, no. So you utilize your time in reading it, not writing it. Okay. Then Revision is the key. Without revision, you cannot excel in anything. Okay. If you just listen now, everything will be there. After some time, you will be remembering and you will be losing out. No, some things will be there. After again a month, completely it will be lost. Without revision, you cannot remember anything. Current affairs based test series also. As part of our prelims test series, we'll be giving 85 questions from subjects and 15 from CSAT. Out of those 85, 60 from one subject and 25, every test will be consisting of questions from that month, previous month current affairs, 25 questions. That means we are making sure that current affairs and static both are covered. Okay. In that way, you can get advantage over others. Okay. So this is what you have to do. Sources I told you. Okay. Newspaper is first source. Another source is Yojana magazine you can follow. That is government magazine only. Don't follow private magazines like Chronicles and all that are not at all advisable. Okay, you have to follow the newspaper at the same time Yojana because it is Government of India publication only. You can follow that, and you can also follow PIB website. AIR news you have, no, All India Radio News, in which you have at 9 p.m. Spotlight will be coming. So all Spotlight. This 15-20 minutes one discussion will be there, audio discussion. So on one particular issue which is happening in the recent times, questions will be asked and that person will be giving opinions. So you can generate opinions also. By reading a newspaper, not only understanding the news and things, okay, don't focus on the news, focus on the issues. News will not be important, issues will be important, okay. So next time I am taking another class discussing how to read a newspaper and all, but as we are running short of time, just focus on these areas. Newspaper, PIB, Yojana, Kurukshetra is also advisable, but based on the theme. Every month magazine I don't advise you. Based on the theme of the magazine, if it is containing in your syllabus, go through it. Otherwise, you can leave it. And Spotlight, every day 9 or 9:30 in All India Radio News app. Okay, you will be having this audio discussion of 15-20 minutes. You can listen it. Will you have some informed opinions generated, because some experts will be giving their opinions about some important issues. You will have the opinions because in the mains papers you have to give your thoughts also, no, written. So that will help there. Okay, this is what you have to do. How many months current affairs has to be discussed means 1.5 to 2 years. Okay, 1 year, previous year mandatory you have to do, but if you have time, 1.5 to 2 also you have to go. Sometimes UPS is going beyond 1 year. Okay, do's and don'ts, limit your sources, limit your time, focus on the issues, not on news. News means, you know, one day news will not be important. The things which are coming very often, every day in the newspaper, okay, same issue is going on, those you have to make. And art of making notes, very short and crisp notes you have to do, read, revise and execute. This is what you have to do. Clear? Any doubts?